Jimmy Carter was born on October 1st, 1924, in the small rural town of Plains, Georgia. His father, James Earl Carter Sr., was a peanut farmer and businessman, while his mother, Lillian Carter, was a registered nurse. The family lived modestly in a farmhouse without electricity or running water. Carter's early life was shaped by the routines of farm work, Southern Baptist values, and the close-knit fabric of rural community life. The hardships of the Great Depression instilled in him values of thrift, resilience, and humility that would define his personal and political character. Growing up in the racially segregated American South, Carter developed a unique perspective on race relations. Although his family benefited from the racial hierarchy of the time, Carter played with African American children who lived on neighboring farms. These early interactions sparked an awareness of racial injustice that conflicted with the prevailing norms. His exposure to both privilege and inequality left a lasting imprint, shaping his future commitment to civil rights and human dignity. Carter's academic promise led him to pursue higher education, an unprecedented step in his family. After attending Georgia Southwestern College and Georgia Tech, he was accepted into the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. He graduated in 1946, finishing 59th out of a class of 820. The rigorous training and disciplined environment of the academy prepared him for leadership and technical problem solving. His education symbolized a leap forward, not just for himself, but for the values of merit and aspiration in a rural Southern family. Carter embarked on a distinguished career as a naval officer, specializing in submarine warfare. He served on several vessels and was later selected to work under Admiral Hyman Rickover in the emerging field of nuclear submarines. Carter's tenure in the Navy exposed him to cutting-edge technology, crisis decision-making, and diverse global cultures. These years cultivated a methodical, science-based mindset that influenced his later approach to policy and diplomacy. In 1953, Carter resigned from the Navy following the death of his father. He returned to Plains to take over the family's peanut business, which was struggling with debt and mismanagement. Carter applied a methodical, hands-on approach to revitalize the farm, eventually turning it into a profitable enterprise. The experience deepened his connection to Georgia's agricultural economy and further entrenched his empathy for working-class Americans. Motivated by frustration with local corruption, Carter entered politics in 1962, running for the Georgia State Senate. Despite facing vote rigging, he successfully contested the results and was ultimately declared the winner. In office, he focused on education, reform, racial equity, and government transparency. His quiet determination and insistence on ethical leadership earned him respect across party lines, marking the start of his reputation as a principled reformer, elected as Georgia's 76th governor in 1970. Carter stunned many by declaring in his inaugural address that the time for racial discrimination is over. He reorganized the state government to increase efficiency and redirected funding to improve education and public services. Carter prioritized civil rights and appointed African Americans to high-level positions, defying Southern political norms. His governorship reflected both his progressive vision and practical administrative skill. Following the Watergate scandal, Carter announced his candidacy for the presidency as a Washington outsider in 1974. With little national name recognition, he launched a grassroots campaign centered on trust, transparency, and moral leadership. Carter's background as a peanut farmer and devout Christian resonated with voters disillusioned by political corruption. His retail politics strategy, personally meeting tens of thousands of Americans, helped build momentum leading into the 1976 primaries. In one of the closest presidential races in U.S. history, Carter defeated incumbent Gerald Ford to become the 39th President of the United States. His victory marked a national desire for healing and integrity. In his inauguration speech, Carter emphasized human rights, environmental protection, and governmental reform. He was the first U.S. president elected from the Deep South since the Civil War, signaling a transformative shift in American politics. Perhaps Carter's most significant diplomatic achievement was the Camp David Accords, a peace agreement between Egypt and Israel. After nearly 2 weeks of tense negotiations at the presidential retreat in Maryland, Carter brokered a historic accord between Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin. The agreement ended a 30-year state of war and established diplomatic relations between the two nations. Carter's persistence and moral authority earned him international acclaim. The Iranian hostage crisis severely challenged Carter's presidency. After Iranian revolutionaries seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding 52 Americans hostage, Carter opted for diplomacy over military action. Despite exhaustive efforts, the crisis lasted 444 days, casting a shadow over his administration. Though criticized for perceived inaction, Carter's decision to avoid bloodshed reflected his humanitarian principles and commitment to peaceful resolution. Carter faced re-election amidst high inflation, energy shortages, and international uncertainty. Despite achievements in diplomacy and environmental policy, he was defeated by Ronald Reagan in a landslide. The loss marked a turning point, but Carter approached his post-presidency not as a retreat, but as an opportunity for global service and advocacy. It became the beginning of an even more influential second chapter. In 1982, Carter and his wife Rosalind established the Carter Center in Atlanta to promote peace, democracy, and health worldwide. The center became a leader in election monitoring, conflict resolution, and disease eradication. Under Carter's guidance, the center worked in over 80 countries and made groundbreaking progress against diseases like guinea worm. His commitment to the waging of peace set a new standard for former presidents. In recognition of his decades-long commitment to peaceful conflict, resolution, democracy, and human rights, Carter was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. The Nobel Committee praised his untiring efforts and moral leadership in international affairs. The honor cemented his legacy as not only a former president, but a global humanitarian of rare integrity. Jimmy Carter redefined the modern role of a former president. For more than 4 decades after leaving office, he engaged in hands-on humanitarian work, including building homes with Habitat for Humanity and mediating global conflicts. His post-presidency was marked by humility, compassion, and tireless service. In doing so, he earned admiration across ideological lines and became one of the most respected elder statesmen in the world.